Oh, let me tell you something. Busting makes me feel good.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to Blockbusting, the podcast where we love to hate the movies. I'm your host, Jay Light. Joining me today, Handren Seavey.
What's happening?
Not much, buddy. How are you?
I'm doing well. Just got out of work, came over, gonna talk some shit.
Let's talk some shit, dude.
Yeah.
This movie that you've chosen is a movie that I'm frankly very surprised nobody's picked yet because it's a bunch of garbage. It's a big, beautiful pile of garbage.
You're on my side about this.
This movie, James Cameron's Avatar.
So right off the bat, why is it important that his name has nothing to do with the plot or the story of the movie?
No, it has nothing to do with it.
He's not in it?
He doesn't, but you gotta tell people, look, this is James Cameron's first movie since Titanic.
Was it?
I think it was. I could be wrong. I'm gonna look that up right now.
It totally might be. I didn't know if he also had a hand in that AI movie, but...
No. AI was all Steven Spielberg.
All Spielberg, okay.
Cameron took on his biggest film, The Titanic, earned him Academy Awards for Best Picture, Best Director, and Best Film Editing. After Titanic, James Cameron began a project that took almost 10 years to make, his science fiction epic Avatar. So, let's lay into it. What's your major beef with this movie?
I'm wondering what took 10 years, because it was not the story. That they just cut and pasted several other of the exact same story. It's Dances with Wolves or what's that, Fern Gully? It's all just that, and
Pocahontas.
Yeah. And also, like, it's weirdly like white people suck, but also they're the only ones that can save the day.
Yeah, that's a weird dichotomy, isn't it?
Yeah.
All of a sudden, it's like, listen, white people are terrible, but also, I'm one of the good ones.
It would have been really bold if he had done this exact same story. Instead of an alien planet, it was just a white guy going undercover as a black guy. And then just do it that way, because that would have been riskier move than what he did, I feel like.
Like reverse white chicks?
Yes, exactly.
I feel like James Cameron is probably not that far off. If he had decided to do a movie where the main character goes into blackface instead of Avatar, it's close, because this is alien face. This is about as close as he's going to get to it.
Yeah.
This movie... Here's the craziest part about this movie to me, and I'm looking at this Wikipedia page where it's explaining all this stuff to me. Development of Avatar began in 1994. Before he had even started filming Titanic and working on Titanic.
What was so complicated about this?
It was supposed to get released in 1999, but according to James Cameron, the necessary technology was not yet available to achieve his vision of the film. So he's basically saying, I'm so smart that technology cannot compete with my
not ready for this
big old brain.
Not ready for this one. But the thing is, so that's where people were bamboozled by this film. Mm-hmm. Because if you saw it, I never saw it in theaters in the 3D or anything, but people said that looked awesome. But all that's just like an advertisement for 3D images, like looking at them. But because there's no story, I watched it just at home. The story's terrible. The movie's terrible. The hottest chick in it, they don't even make a person. She's a fucking alien the whole time. You never get to see person her.
Right.
And and mostly my biggest rift is the story is just like you could tell every turn what's going to happen and everything. It's not fucking not compelling to watch. Like, oh, I wonder where they're going to go with this one.
This movie, he came up with the idea. He wrote a treatment in 1994. Then he actually started developing the screenplay in 2006.
So he's lazy.
He's
also
extremely lazy. Basically, I mean, as soon as the movie came out, he was like, you know what, I can't make this movie yet. Yeah. You guys haven't figured out how to deal with my impressive vision, so I'm gonna take a step back and I'm just gonna and he just basically like jerked off for 5 years.
Yeah.
And then he was like, I'm gonna take some time, I'm gonna start making a language for these aliens. That was the first thing he did before he even wrote the script. He came up with the language.
Again, he really should have. The script was the thing. It's one of the weakest points in it that he clearly did not spend a lot of time on, and it shows. It shows.
I don't understand how this movie got all of the critical acclaim that it did.
I don't know.
On a technical level, the movie, it's shot in 3D, and it's a live-action 3D movie, which at that point, 3D was coming back in vogue. This comes out, 2009. 3D is just starting to get back into full force after being very gimmicky for the number of years that it had already existed.
They have a new kind of 3D now, opposed to the just like red and blue fucking 3D shit.
Right.
But still, I don't like. It's like using a movie to sell a gimmick, pretty much.
Yeah.
Like here's the thing: when you watch it just not in 3D, you go, "There's nothing in this that needed to be in 3D to be compelling about the movie." Like, it's just wanting to be like, "What if there was an island floating? I want to see that in the film." You're like, "Well, what's happening in this film? That doesn't matter. I just want to see the island floating. We'll fucking build the rest around that." And I don't think that makes for a good film.
I agree.
Yeah.
There's a lot in this movie. It's so simplistic. I mean, it got nominated for a ton of awards.
Okay, let's hear some of these. If they're not all technical, I'm going to be upset.
Well, I mean, right off the bat, it did get nominated for Best Picture by pretty much every single awards-giving body.
That is, I wonder can we find out what it was up against that year?
The year it won Best Picture? Well, thank God it lost Best Picture to The Hurt Locker.
Okay, not
which
bad.
Is a good movie to pick
and was
instead.
his ex-wife, too.
Yep.
That's right.
That was a nice little subplot during that movie.
Yeah.
Because this was a weird year for the Oscars,
because
2009.
I bet they got divorced because he was making 10 years to fucking make the movie.
Yeah, and she was like, "Look, I can do this way better."
Yeah.
So this movie comes out, and this is the first year. 2008 was a tough year for the Oscars because that was the year that WALL-E and The Dark Knight were both snubbed by basically every single person in a critical sense and on a commercial sense. Were like, why the fuck did neither of these movies get nominated for Best Picture?
Yeah.
How did The Reader get nominated for Best Picture when we can't get The Dark Knight or WALL-E in there?
Isn't that the one about Nazis or something?
Yeah, that's about as much as people can remember about it.
I don't
It's
think
got
I
Kate
ever saw it.
Winslet being naked in it, I guess. I
Is
haven't
she
seen
the
it.
Nazi?
I think she is a Nazi.
Ooh.
But
Why does that make her hotter? Why is that?
because it's the
I
forbidden
don't like
fruit.
Nazis, but then you're like, there's a fucking hot one.
Yeah, see, hot Nazis. That's a movie that is compelling, at least, right? That's something. Oh, I can get my. That's probably why I got nominated for the Oscars, because it's like, oh, there's a moral quandary here.
Yeah.
Should we fuck the Nazi or not?
Because usually they're ugly. They're like in a lot of films, they make them a little weird, little ugly. Like, you know,
yeah.
Even Clive, whatever his name is there. Is it Clive? No.
Clive who?
In Schindler's List, the one who's runs the camp.
Oh, I've never seen Schindler's List.
Oh, really?
Most of my exploits with Nazi movies come out for like Inglourious Bastards.
Okay, yeah.
Where, I mean, actually, there's a pretty hot Nazi in that movie, Christoph Waltz. He's got a salt and pepper vibe to him.
He's Professor Hot.
Yeah, but still, that's a level.
Yeah.
So anyway, but 2009 is the first year that the Academy opens up the floor and is like, all right, we're gonna have 10 Best Picture nominations this year.
That was the first year they made it bigger.
So this movie got nominated up against a bevy of movies. It got Avatar, The Blind Side, District 9, An Education, Inglourious Bastards, Precious, based on the novel Pushed by Sapphire, A Serious Man, Up and Up in the Air, and Hurt Locker, which ultimately won.
Yeah, Up and Up in the Air. That's a weird. When you say it like that, it's like 3 of those could have not been on there.
Yeah. I mean, if you're looking back, history does not really remember a lot of these movies.
Yeah.
I've seen a handful of them, and I definitely think some of them were kind of groundbreaking on some level.
They were good, yeah.
Out of the ones that I have seen. I loved The Hurt Locker at the time, but I'm not sure now if I would give The Hurt Locker Best Picture.
Yeah.
Out of that list.
Also, District 9 was really good.
District 9. That was what I was just gonna say. District 9
much better alien movie than fucking Avatar.
Way better alien movie than Avatar. But it also got nominated. James Cameron got nominated for Best Director for this movie, which is very silly. Mm-hmm. It got nominated. Did it get nominated for any screenplay awards?
Especially because I would think in that level of making a movie, it is such a big operation that he's not even really directing like one-on-one, except for maybe like the major stars in the film.
Right.
He'll have a conversation with, but he's like running a fucking corporation at the top and like all these ADs and stuff doing all the shit. So it's not even somebody who's like, when you think of making, filmmaking in the sense of like the director behind the camera, like directing and shit, he's not doing any of that.
Yeah.
He's fucking sitting in Video Village.
The thing is, it's like this movie.
That being said, I would love to work with James Cameron. I really feel like we would be a good fit.
Well, you guys would have to make the next Avatar because James Cameron's already working on the next 4 Avatar sequels. That's all he's doing. He's booked up, buddy. He's stuck in a franchise that you hate. Yeah, it will mean that like there are some weekends of movies that are just like nobody's going to put out another movie against that. So it'll just be like the Avatar dead zone for the 5 years that they come out. But he does have a chance to like swing back with some, if he fucking works on the goddamn script and makes a compelling story, he could come totally back around on this and end up making it like they come to Earth and fucking turns out they're like just murder everybody and that's what we want from aliens. I mean, I would love to see a movie that feels like what old school James Cameron kind of felt like.
Yeah.
And I say this as somebody.
This is the prequel to Aliens. That would be a good twist.
I've never seen any of the James Cameron movies. I've never seen anything besides Titanic and this.
You've never seen Aliens?
I've never seen Aliens. I've never seen any of the Terminator movies.
Wow.
I haven't seen True Lies.
Were you Mormon?
I was very Christian, not Mormon,
okay.
but super duper sheltered. Couldn't watch any of this stuff.
That explains it.
Very much.
Like, how do you not just see that like at a friend's house or some shit?
I mean, I've done the Terminator 2 experience at Universal Studios,
but never seen the movie. How did it fare? Were you like, I get it?
Yeah, I mean, I was like, yeah, this is close enough.
Okay,
I understand kind of what's going on. It's like when the first time I ever went to a pro wrestling match. I had no idea what was going on, but you stand next to people who can explain the storylines to you, and then all of a sudden you're good.
But also, like, that is the show. You're not going to, like, the Pro Wrestling Hall of Fame, having never seen pro wrestling before.
I also didn't go to the Terminator Hall of Fame either.
I think that is the Terminator Hall of Fame.
It could be. You might be right. It won the Golden Globe for Best Drama, and he won the Best Director Golden Globe.
Drama?
Yeah, this is a drama movie. Because how else do you categorize the plight of a bunch of cartoons who have a element called unobtainium? This. How about plot devicium?
Dumb.
What is this?
Really didn't even. That was a placeholder that they just left there. That when they wrote the script, they was like, just put unobtainium because that's what the metal is, and we'll figure out a better name for it later. And then they like got to day one of shooting, and they're like, fuck, we never changed that.
And then James Cameron's like, just leave it in. People are gonna say it's so smart and artfully done. This movie, it won a bunch of awards. It won a bunch of Teen Choice Awards for Best Actress and Actor in a Sci-Fi Movie. It won a bunch of visual effects awards. Somehow the WGA nominated it for Best Original Screenplay.
That's ridiculous.
Totally ridiculous. Yeah. It also, and I'm looking at this, my favorite award that it won, and I did not realize that this even existed. It won an award from PETA.
Oh.
For being the outstanding feature film of the year.
But there was no animals in it.
Right, exactly, because it's all about, because they called aliens animals, I think, in this movie. So it's like, we need to treat aliens better, and PETA's like, close enough.
Yeah. It's the purpose. That's the general way we want you to think. I think he drew what the aliens look like, I think is what he ultimately is attracted to.
Oh, yeah.
That
thinking he wants to have
because he like went out of his way to make sure they had sex in it, and like
yeah, that's right.
yeah. It feels like he was like, if I could fuck the ultimate thing, I'd want him to just be a little bigger than me, blue, and they peg me.
Getting pegged by an alien. I think it's got to be. There's
Think
so
about
much
it.
weird sexual stuff in this movie too. It's inexplainable.
Like right away, just like fucking loincloths and tight asses, and you're like, whoa, they just kind of like these sex freaks out here.
Yeah, they're fucking with their weird like tails on their heads. This movie made an exorbitant amount of money.
Yeah.
It's the highest grossing movie of all time.
Probably enough that could actually save indigenous tribes. Like enough
Right.
to
But James Cameron's not actually doing anything with any of this money.
No.
He's building himself personal submarines to go check out the deepest parts of the ocean.
Yeah. And with no real science background, like he gets to
Not
go
at all.
see it, but it's not like he's going to be like, "Whoa, this is a different type of algae."
Well, he's probably going down there because the fish that are that deep are the closest thing to aliens that we have walking around or swimming around, I guess.
Yeah, but still, he's just like a guy who's like, I'm into it. He's not an expert. Like there are better scientists that they could have send to parts of the world nobody's been to, and maybe they could find some shit out
Not
by
even
being
just
there.
better scientists, actual
It's
scientists.
a scientist at all, yeah. But instead, just this fanboy gets to go, probably like radios back. There's some crazy shit down. Like, please tell us what it is. What is? I don't know, man. But it's weird.
So, your biggest beef with the movie is the plot, which is extremely, extremely basic.
It's very, it's mostly the plot and the story, and then I wasn't that captivated by, like, he didn't come up with any new like way that these creatures work. It's just like a slight take on Native Americans, really.
Yeah. I mean, the whole premise of the movie is Earth's minerals are depleted. They go find unobtainium on Pandora.
Which I don't think is a thing that can happen. You can't deplete mineral. Like, we can't. Nothing gets destroyed ever.
Right.
You have to recycle it or whatever, but we're not just like out of minerals.
Well, I mean, there's the whole thing. This is basically, it's a climate change movie, sort of, and it's about, like, this is the dangers of what's going to happen. But it also says this happens in 2154. So this is way, way, way down the line.
Yeah, but he's been way off on Future several times now.
Yeah, I mean, we found out, what was that, a month ago, that the climate is going to be irreversibly damaged by 2030?
Well, but he's also gone, like, I think Terminator 2, Judgment Day was supposed to be in 2018, I want to say.
Oh, yeah.
He's
think
like...
something like that.
Yeah.
Terminator 2.
So he's off both ways. Like... He's like, we'll be around 150 years, and everybody else is like, hey, again, talk to a scientist, buddy.
Terminator 2 is supposed to take place. Oh my gosh. I wish I could find this extremely easily, but I can't.
If you just
in
say
1995, John Connor. In 2029, Skynet sends a new Terminator back in time to kill John. August 29th, 1997
was Judgment Day?
Was Judgment Day.
Oh, yeah.
So nobody can understand how Jim Cameron basically has no understanding. He's a kid playing with Legos.
For somebody who, like, innovates in camera technology and shit, he clearly for any of these has not consulted any scientist to be like, if you were on an alien world, what would you see? What, like, just to get a good idea to build something? He's like, I'm just going to wing it from the hip with all this, and I'm pretty sure I'm right. And
right. He's like a guy who won a science fair, and all of a sudden he's anointed the new genius of the school.
Yeah.
And everybody follows along with what he says and believes it to be, like, sovereign fact. And he's just tricking everybody.
Yeah.
He's tricking everybody into thinking that his movies are smart and worth your time at this point. Because he gambled on Titanic and gambled huge, and it paid off for him.
Yeah.
And Avatar, he basically, after you pull off a movie that's supposed to be a gigantic flop and make it the most profitable movie of all time, the highest grossing movie of all time, it wins all the awards. I mean, you get carte blanche to do whatever you want, I guess.
Yeah. But it's weird that he did just go, I'm going to do 10 years of doing nothing.
Yeah.
And then make this piece of shit. It was more than 10 years, right?
More than 10 years.
Yeah.
I mean, he started writing it, and it took so long for him to actually make it.
But I mean, from when Titanic came out, which was probably, what, 96?
97.
97.
Here's the thing that really gets... I think the ego of James Cameron is what really does the most damage
You think
to
he
this
has
movie.
an ego? I don't know.
James Cameron's ego is the fourth movie in the Avatar franchises that is going to be
I
coming
think
out.
he actually describes it that way, too. James Cameron's ego is how he refers to it.
It's how it's billed. I think that this movie, if it hadn't been written by James Cameron and maybe by someone with some actual sci-fi writing chops,
Did he throw it to any writers? Did he workshop it? That's what I want to know.
Didn't look like it.
Is he just in a room like this by himself working on it and getting no opinion from, like, you know how directors used to like go and meet and like fucking Fort Coppola would have, I don't know, Kurosawa on his set or some shit.
Right.
Just to be, or like send him a script and be like, what do you think of this? And just because they're friends, for no other reason, they were not paying him a fucking writer's thing, they'll look it over and go, hey, you know, you're doing the exact same movie 3 other people have done already.
It's insane to me. I'm looking at this. He worked with a lot of people in sort of developing the world of the movie.
Yeah.
But the actual plot and the script, he didn't work with anybody else on.
Yeah.
This is a movie that if he had even asked the people who like invented the language for the movie, or if he had talked to the illustrators and the concept designers who helped like design the world of Pandora, if he had talked to them and been like, oh, here's this, I got this idea about this is what the movie's going to be about. It's just going to be any movie that's already been made in the 90s. And they would have been like, yeah, I don't know. You got to do something more complex with this world.
And I'll like give it, it's, I'm so angry at it. It's so easy to like hate one side too. Like there's no moral quandaries. They don't make you like feel for the other side. It's just like, which is so boring in movies now. That's how it always used to be. Like the good guys were the good guys and the bad guys were the bad guys.
Oh, yeah.
But now like at least people are getting a little better and giving you even, you know who the bad guys are, but still you see their point of view. It makes it for more compelling when you get to the end of the film. You're like, well, maybe they shouldn't have done that to him. But this is just so easy to like, oh, these are the bad guys. Like not Benicio, what's his name? Genovese kid there.
Oh, yeah, Giovanni Ribisi.
Yeah, the Ribisi Scientologist there.
The Ribisi boy.
He's a Saito.
He's a Scientologist, too?
Yeah. Born into it.
Is James Cameron a Scientologist?
I don't think so, but it seems like they would welcome him at any time.
I feel like James Cameron he's got too much of an ego for Scientology, and he's just going to be the next L. Ron Hubbard
He's going to make
his own religion.
Yeah, I could see that. That's what he's working on next.
Yeah.
And then guess what? It's about and then it's just another fucking the same religion.
So this movie, let's look at some of these people. Giovanni Ribisi's a guy in this movie. Stephen Lang, who's your big head honcho kind of guy.
Oh yeah, he's
evil
like the
military guy.
Yeah, the military guy. I like him.
One of these, but he's also one of these people who like you can look at him and see, oh, this is the bad guy in this movie.
Yeah.
Maybe helpful. Well, at least it's visually there, but maybe he'll have some depth to him.
No, there was no depth.
I wish that the depth of this movie had actually been explored. This movie feels like staring into just a hopeless void of a movie.
Like they could have. Okay, Jim, if you're listening, here's something.
Jimbo.
Everything else is the same except they eat people.
So that's something.
Just like, and it's not, they don't actively go after them, but if they catch a person, they're gonna they're gonna roast them up and they eat them.
Right.
And so it's like, then you get a quandary. Like you're still fucking over their place and stuff, but at least And
this is why that explains why they have to go down as avatars.
Yeah.
And go down.
Otherwise they're gonna eat us.
Right.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, wait a minute, he gets found out, but they've already fallen in love because they had sex with their weird heads.
It doesn't seem like it as fun as sex actually is.
No,
Like, that's so you don't get to fuck. Well, that doesn't seem like fun.
Well, the movie's got to be kid friendly, and that's why we're gonna have weird alien sex where there's no
need
actual
for it.
exchange of fluids or anything that's fun.
No need for it.
So, if you're writing this movie instead of James Cameron, the aliens eat people.
Yeah.
Are there any other choices that you want to make in this movie to make it palatable and not just a boring rehash of any sort of movie that a kid has already seen in the 90s?
First off, for the lead, I'm going female reboot because I'm woke.
Okay.
We don't need it to be a white guy.
Tis
White
the
guy
time.
saves the day, you know. Let's get somebody else in there. So we're going Whoopi Goldberg.
Okay.
And also I feel like nobody's talking about age. Like they want different genders and stuff, but it's still people at the peak of their life. Nobody's saying like let's age swap stuff out.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah.
Nobody's ever talking about trying to get a version of the movie where it's all old people.
All old, although they have done that, like the Space Cowboys and shit.
Right, and I've seen
That is a gimmick. It's all old people.
posters for the TV shows now. There's that one that's on CBS that's all old people. It's called The Cool Kids. Martin Mull's in that show, I think, and like the poster for the movie, or it's a TV show. Sorry, I'm not watching it either way. So who gives a fuck?
Yeah.
But the poster for the show is just 4 old people lined up by a cop against a brick wall, and like one of them is like clearly about to flip somebody off, and they like graffitied like "Beats for Life" or whatever the fuck. I don't know.
Yeah.
Early Bird Special.
It's just old people being dicks.
Well, let's have old people do silly things. Hey, thanks, Bad Grandpa. Hey, thanks, Dirty Grandpa. We
Yeah.
got 2 different Grandpa movies. It is all old people is a fun gimmick that I don't think James Cameron has ever thought to explore.
And we've never seen in alien movies either.
We haven't seen a movie.
Old aliens.
That is a great movie.
Where the fuck are the old aliens?
Where's the alien retirement home?
Yeah.
Where's the version of this movie that has people who are all of a sudden like this is their last mission, it's their last shot. That's a classic trope too. The cop who's on his last, it's like the last day of work, and then all of a sudden he discovers a planet that has the one resource that they need.
Yeah.
But also, it's all these old aliens, and they're like, I'm too tired of hunting humans down as they're trying to steal our resources. But guess what? We sniffed one out.
They're delicious.
Do I have it in me to tell these people?
So going forward though in the franchise, here's what you do is just to make it more compelling, you have them take back control of their planet. They start selling unobtainium to us. Then they have a financial hold on us, and we end up in debt to them, much like China. And then we can use it to explain how China holds debt over us, and it'll actually get something worth of all of this bullshit that he's putting together.
Right. Well, because then it's just like, it's another... This movie is doing an allegorical thing that it doesn't really need to do.
Yeah.
It's been done.
Said. It's been said so many times.
Look, we know that we know that the human race is bad for the planet. We already have figured that out.
And for each other.
Yeah. And we know that we have no regard for the environment, for other animals, for society at large, and for other planets. We're going to go around, we're going to fuck up the whole universe as soon as we figure out how to get Elon Musk to launch people onto Mars.
Yeah.
We're going to destroy Mars. This movie does not need to say any of that. It's choosing its messages in all the wrong places. You know what? If this movie didn't have a moral message to it on like a grand level where it's like finger pointing at the audience and saying, oh, you guys got to learn from this.
Yeah.
I would be, at least a little bit more on board with it plot-wise.
Yeah. Yeah, like I was saying, like, and it's the tropes of, it's not just the moral message, but it's so easy. Like, so what is the word I'm looking for? Just for like, this is the bad guy. He has the mustache.
Yeah.
This is the good guy. Like, Okay, another thing. I didn't care for the fact that the guy was crippled in the beginning.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, that was another thing too. They're trying to get like the
it's a sympathy vote.
yeah sympathy. He was a crippled veteran.
Right. Yep. You love cripples and you love veterans.
Yeah.
How can we make everybody like this movie?
Send them back to war. New bodies, same people.
It feels. I feel like James Cameron just searched like the top trending Google
Yeah.
search results for how do I what are the things that people like the most. He's one layer off from like a movie where the material they're looking for is ice cream.
Yeah.
And there's like orgies and stuff going on, and it's just the most basic. And everybody's speaking in a language where they are not using more than 1 or 2 syllables per word.
And then we win the game at the end.
Yeah,
Just,
exactly. And then you get to cart Rudy off, and
Yeah.
everybody comes off on their shoulders. I mean, Rudy wins in the end of this movie. The cripple kid survives and manages to make everything turn out okay.
I forget, does he stay as a blue person? He doesn't go back?
Yep, he's permanently transferred into his avatar.
Oh, nice. So it gives white people hope that maybe one day they could be black.
Yep. Yeah, that's the other part of this movie too. Oh my God, the weird like racial undertones.
It's like Native American, but black people also, because they have
Right.
dreads. They all have like the 90s Predator dreads.
Yep, and they speak in a language that the people just don't understand, but is way cooler. They have. I mean, I'm so surprised that James Cameron didn't just have them doing like a weird handshake that somebody had to figure out. And that's how he gets found out that he's a human and not an avatar. Is he doesn't know when to fist bump at the right time. Oh, I was supposed to slap my tail against your head 3 times and not 2 times. Fuck, my bad, man.
That's not where. It's like where I'm from. I'm from the south side of the planet. I don't know.
Basically, I mean, at the end of the day,
Were there others? Sorry. Were there other groups of the? I couldn't remember. Was that the only group of those? What are they called? The Na'vi or
the
something?
Na'vi.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the
Were
Na'vi.
there other tribes?
They basically exist as one large tribe.
Oh, okay.
They're not divided up. They're all on the same board.
Okay, so
everybody's there together.
Here's another thing you could have explained. Why does that work for them and not for humans? What is the mental thing that's different for them that allows them to not separate themselves into groups but think of themselves as all one organism?
They have some tribes and stuff, but it doesn't seem like they ever come into contact with any kind of warring tribes.
Yeah.
Everybody comes together and they're working all on the same page. Like, hey, we got to figure out how to get rid of these humans once they find out what's going on. I don't think we should let James Cameron write any more movies.
No, I mean, what is a useful thing he could do? Because he is good at, like, just have him create the technology.
Yeah.
And be like a DP.
From a technical standpoint, it's not a bad movie.
Yeah.
I think it's really pretty.
Yeah.
But I don't give a shit about what James Cameron thinks is a good story.
Yeah. But it's also like, yeah, that's not the movie making is storytelling, and he is doing like picture telling, like a picture book.
He's right. I mean, yeah, he's basically making movies for babies.
Yeah, it's like if you just went through a movie, just all the shots, but there were never people there, and you just saw all the places, but they looked really good. That's basically what this could be, because the plot and the story is just terrible, and it could just be an hour and a half of like, look at cool stuff floating.
Yeah, and people would watch that.
Yeah, but you could go in and out. It would be art, and it would be at a museum, and nobody would care. Is what would happen.
Right.
And he's found a way to trick us to fucking think it's worth going to see.
And watch it for almost 3 hours and be like, yeah,
That's
this is the best thing I've ever
jerk-off
seen.
thing too. It's almost 3 hours for the same fucking outcome that all of those movies have.
Ridiculous. Look, I think we should let James Cameron make
should be
movies,
a DP.
but he should never write ever again.
Yeah.
And if you're listening and you're friends with James Cameron, next time you see him writing a script, burn his computer.
Slap it out of his
Slap
hand.
it out of his hand.
Yeah.
Do whatever you can to make sure.
Well, here's the thing, though.
Somebody
I don't think
break James Cameron's hand so that way he can't ever type ever again.
I don't think he writes the scripts.
He probably
That's
dictates
clearly
them.
the problem with this. there was little to no script going in.
There was just like a bunch of ideas, and then he was like, I'm just going to string it together.
We'll improv it.
Flimsy. Man, what is a sci-fi movie that you actually enjoy, if any? Is there one that you'd recommend instead of Avatar?
Okay, yes. Very good one. Just watched the other day. And some people don't care for it because it's not the same as the book, but it's still an excellent movie, is Hitchhiker's Guide.
Oh, yeah.
Have you ever seen that one?
I have seen that one.
That
A little bit
really...
of John Cusack action.
No.
Is that him?
No, Cusack's not in that.
Wait, who's the lead character in that one? Who am I thinking of?
It's Martin Freeman.
Oh, that's who I'm thinking of. Martin Freeman is like the British John Cusack to me.
But some actual good, like...
Yeah, I know Alan Rickman does a voice in it.
Yeah.
Mos Def and Sam Rockwell are in it.
Yeah. And what's her name there? That little minx.
Zoe Deschanel.
Yeah, that's the one.
Yep.
But that one has like neat like questions and quandaries about the universe. Like if you're traveling to a new place, like the different species and stuff that live there, it'll just be like these people have no reason. And so because of that, this is what their fucking world is like when you take away reason, but everything else is the same. And that was actual good scientific exploration of what could be out in the universe, not just fucking some dude's fuck dolls. I had to really feel like he just wants to have sex with one of them.
Well, I mean, this is James Cameron's way of just trying to convince
Wasn't that tentacle
people.
porn what they did?
Kinda.
That's what tentacle porn is.
It's close
isn't it?
enough to tentacle porn. James Cameron has... You know what? I think we finally figured out why this movie exists. Is because James Cameron has wanted to have sex with a black woman his whole life. And he hasn't been able to figure out how to do it.
Yeah.
And so this is his closest guess.
He's going roundabout way to it.
Dude, Handren, thanks so much for coming on today.
Thank you
man.
for having me, sir.
I hate this movie, and I'm glad that you do too.
Yes, I do.
Where can the listeners find you on the internet?
Everything's Handren Seavey, HANDRENSEAVEY.
Fantastic.
And just find me on there and tell me if you hate this as much as I do.
Yeah, that's a good call. I think people should talk about how much they hate this movie. It kind of fell out of practice.
We're in for a lot more. So if we don't talk now, next thing you know, we're in second term Trump.
Who knows, guys? You can follow me at Diet J on Twitter and Instagram, jlightcomedy.com for show dates. And if you like the podcast, leave a rating, leave a review, tell a friend, especially if they hate movies too, because it's a fun time having you guys be in the movie hating circle as much as we are. And that's it. This has been Blockbusting. Go see something good for a change.